Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lions Den Sport Podcast. Very pleased to be joined by Mr. Kevin Green. Mr. Kev Green, who I've heard of for quite a long time. My dad's told me a lot about Kev. Boxer, entrepreneur, family man. How are you, sir?
I'm great, mate. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this as well. Yeah,
well,
I'm good.
it's a pleasure to get you on. I think your seat's quite high there, though. Is it all right? You're looking taller than me.
Well, I'm feeling good, mate. I'm 5'7", so for once I'm feeling quite tall.
We'll leave the seat at what it is, there, mate. So, Kev, as I said, very pleased to get you on. Want to know more about you. Obviously, you're obviously doing a lot of stuff about Herbalife, which we'll come on to. But I want to know more about your early life. You got a strong Scottish accent there, which I said before you can't get rid of. To tell us, where were you? Whereabouts in Scotland? Where are you from?
Yeah, so born and raised in Edinburgh.
Nice. Okay, the capital.
As a kid, before boxing, I was always very, very short, really like underdeveloped, and I was brought up in a place called Wester Hailes, which is a big, massive like council estate. Bit of a concrete jungle, and I think because it was a really rough environment and being small, my dad thought I need to get him into the boxing. So at the age of 11 years old, I got introduced to boxing, and within one session I thought, I like this. I mean, I was good at football. I was like the school captain with the football, and I really loved that sport. But as soon as I got into boxing, I just loved it far more than the football.
What was it about the boxing?
I just remember with boxing in the club that I went to, there was a really nice family male environment. So there was a lot of older men in the gym, and they were all like, really tough men, but they were gentlemen. And I just felt that I was part of something more than what I did like with football. Like, it's not until now when I look at football, there's quite a lot of shouting at the referee and diving and a bit of cheating here and a bit of cheating there and a lot of gobbing off. Whereas when I went into this boxing gym, there was none of that. There was no cheating, there was no gobbing off. The coach, he was like in charge, and I loved it straight away. Straight away I loved it, and obviously to begin with I wasn't very good, but within about a year and a half, I became the Scottish champion. I started representing Scotland
As a junior,
as
so
a
11,
junior,
12
yeah.
years old, yeah.
And I won the Scottish title 4 consecutive years, all the way through until I was 16. Boxed all over Europe, and at 16 years old I then became a carpenter. So because I was on the building site, coming home from work tired, I left school with no qualifications, and at the age of 16, 17, started to get involved in drinking too much on the building sites. I then sort of just fell away from boxing. Fell away from boxing for probably about 2-3 years, and then I decided I was going to make a comeback, and I thought I want to turn professional. So I beat a guy called Andy McLean. He was the English ABA champion at the time. He won
what weight was this, sorry?
Light welterweight.
So if everyone is 64 kg, I believe that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Made the comeback at that weight, and then got myself back down to lightweight. So I went down to 60 kilograms and beat Andy McLean. He was number one in England. He had won a silver medal in the Commonwealth Games. I beat him. And then I went maybe 3 months later to get the Scottish title, and I messed up my weight. I was about 10, 11 pound overweight 3 days before the fight. Really killed myself to get down to the weight, and ended up getting beat in the final. And I did get beat. I just was dead at the weight, and I knew I just knew in my heart I was never good enough. I was good enough to turn pro, but I was never good enough to become a top pro. And I didn't want to be a journeyman. I didn't want to turn pro and maybe my top level to be like, let's just say number 2 or 3 in Britain. If I was going to turn pro, it was to be a world champion. But I knew deep down in my heart I was never that good. I was never really, maybe not the talent, maybe wasn't the question. I wasn't dedicated enough because I still liked to do other things. I mean, at the time, Alec Arthur, we were same ages, same, almost same weight categories. He was one weight below me. And in terms of um, determination and, you know, just work ethic, he was just on another level. He was training 7 days a week. Me, on the other hand, I was training maybe 3 days a week and still looking to enjoy myself when it come to going out with my friends and stuff like that. I didn't want it bad enough. So I was now like 19 years old, 20 years old, wondering what I was going to do with myself, and then I joined the Royal Marines. I became a commando.
Which again we're going to come back to, because that's such an interesting story going into the Royal Marines. But just your surrounding when you were a child, and you said you were brought up in a council estate round Edinburgh. How was the culture and growing up in that environment?
Oh, it was. I mean, I can laugh about it now, but it was mental. I mean, when I was involved in boxing, I didn't really street fight because the coach, he was very much like, boxers don't street fight. You know, you do your fighting in the ring, you don't do any fighting outside. So as a kid, from about 12 until I was maybe 16, I never really had many fights. I had a few here and there at school, but it wasn't this thing because I was too interested in being a boxer and trying to be a champion. But when I got to about 16 years old, I remember I was out with my friends, and I mean, I was just a small kid, and these men, they were like 25, 30 years old. They've came across to us, a group of them, basically starting on us a little bit, and I've just cracked one of them, and I've knocked this guy clean out, and I was just a kid. And I remember then, like back then, thinking, bloody hell, I never knew it was that easy. And straight away, then a name started to appear. You know, oh, Kevin Green's a fighter, and I wasn't really. I'm not that type of a person. But when you start to get a reputation, I started to probably attract the wrong type of attention to me. So for a period of time, from maybe say 16, 17 years old, all the way through until I was about 20, I was always in some sort of trouble. I was always like either being arrested or fighting with, and I'll tell you the truth, 95% of the time, it was not my fault. There would be someone coming to pick a fight with me. So it was a crazy environment. I mean, now I live in Portsmouth, and I know that there are a few dodgy areas in Pompey. But when I know what goes on in those places in comparison to what it's like in Edinburgh, it's I mean, those guys up in Edinburgh, it's like they're like Premier League. You know, the bad boys in Pompey, it's just not the same.
Really?
It was wild. It was like, yeah, it was like the Wild West.
What sort of things used to happen there then?
I mean, I've not even told you, but like my dad was in and out of prison. My dad's no longer here. My dad, from a young age, was on every single drug you could think of, you know, heroin. I just remember seeing my dad being arrested, put in prison. I can remember my dad, you know, with all sorts of weapons, and yeah, it was just wild. There was a lot of drugs. There was a lot of illegal things going on. I didn't really get involved in the stuff that was illegal, to be honest. I wanted to keep on the straight and narrow. But yeah, it was just wild. That's the way it was. Very, I like to use the word colourful now, because I think sometimes when you tell a story or tell your own story, I think sometimes think, oh, that must have been really bad. But at the time, it didn't feel like it was really bad. It was just like, this is just the way it is as such. I remember my dad, and I'm talking more than 10, 20 times, physically, battering my mum, smashing our house up. And I mean smashing every window in the house. So yeah, it was, but again, I look back on it now, and as much as it, for a lot of people, it was sad. For me at the time, that was just life.
Did you try and, when he did attack your mum, did you try and stop it?
Yeah. So I've actually done therapy since then. I've actually been through therapy. Not that, and by the way, as we spoke before we came in here, I said I don't want to know the questions. So I went through therapy maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and the reason why I went through it wasn't because I was sad, depressed, struggling. It was actually because I wanted to improve my own mindset. I wanted to improve and understand who I was, so I could then help and impact other people. Because I think a lot of people, they do struggle with their childhood and what happened to them as children, and they can let it follow them throughout being an adult. So I went through therapy, but going through the therapy, it really made me realise that a lot of my childhood shaped the person who I am today. So going back to it, one of my first memories was I was maybe about 5. And I think about my children now. I was 5 years old, trying to grab my dad's legs whilst he was punching my mum. And it's not until when I had then the discussion with the therapist and you realise what your personality is now, what my personality is like now. I am very, even though I'm a wee guy, I'd say I'm very like fierce in what I want to defend. And people could see that as aggressive, but it's not aggressive, it's actually a defence. And a lot of that is shaped from when you're a kid. So as a kid, even as a child at 5-year-old, I was defending my mum. So I was actually being an adult, even as a 5-year-old kid, which is really interesting.
It's really interesting. What did the therapist sort of, I mean, you said that they said about your defense mechanism. Did there's anything, is there anything else that come out from it, or is it just that side of it?
No, there's lots of other things. I mean, now when I look at my life in terms of, say, financial success, or how successful just say my family is. I've got an incredible wife. I've got children that I look at them now and I think they're like dream children. And I'm thinking, how does that happen? Well, it's all obviously been formed when I was a kid in like a broken family. I wanted to do everything possible to make sure that my family was going to be the opposite. And it's the same with the drugs. So because I saw how much devastation drugs could cause, I didn't even have a smoky a joint. I would not touch hash. I never touched nothing, because I knew that if you play with that type of thing or even dabble, any junkie, they all started as a dabbler. They all just started dabbling. They didn't start knowing they were going to be a full-on junkie. And I saw that firsthand. So for me, it was a very, very easy decision to say, I'm never going to touch that stuff. Whereas other people in the same situation who have had the same type of trauma in childhood, that would be their excuse to try it. Yeah, so like two brothers, one brother successful and the other brother is on drugs, and you ask the two the same question, why are you the way you are? And the brother who's on drugs says, well, have you seen my dad? Of course I'm going to take drugs. Look at my dad. And then they ask the other brother who's successful, why don't you take drugs? And he says, well, have you seen my dad? That's why I don't touch drugs. So you can use it
It's all about mindset, it sounds like.
two ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, like as I said, I look back now and I'm sort of, you've got to be grateful for your childhood. I'm grateful for the lessons it taught me, because even things like, just say, drug abuse, I know I would never ever touch that stuff because I know which way it can go.
Were you ever, did you ever fall into the habits of your dad? Like, in terms of, you said about drugs, but about hitting family members or anything like that. Did you ever have
Violence?
violence?
Definitely. Yeah, there's been times throughout my life when, and I know that he used to try and give me advice about, don't go this way, because he knew I was going down the route of, when I was, say, 18, 19 years old, it was every weekend something was happening from a violent point of view. And he was like, you're going to end up getting locked up, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, this is another good, and I'm not here on this podcast to preach, but people don't listen to your advice. People follow somebody by their actions and activity. So my dad could say, don't do this, all he wanted, but he was doing the opposite. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, yep.
So I've used that as part of my strength when it comes to my children, because my children, they've never ever seen me in any type of violent or hostile environment. So I don't even really need to give them that advice. Why? Because they're just following me. That doesn't even come up in conversation.
Something that clearly comes in your mind, or comes to me when you're talking, is your strong mindset. About being a strong role model, about knowing what things you felt weren't right and making sure that you don't fall into those habits. Where do you think that strong mindset comes from?
I think it's like a muscle, because I know deep down in my heart that everybody's got a strong mindset. And I know everybody's got a weak mindset, because I know, as much as a lot of people who see me now, they probably think, oh, this guy is, say, unshakable. But we're all human beings at the end of the day. You know, we've all got insecurities. But for me, I just think life for anybody's hard. It's which type of hard do you want? Because if you've not got a strong mindset and you allow whatever sort of overcome you from a mental point of view, then that then becomes like your slave. You're a slave to that, whatever that is. And I could use, what could I use as an example? Let's just say I feel weak, so I want to watch TV for 8 hours a day, because I don't feel strong enough to have a job. Yeah, because that could be the weakest of the weak. People who go, I've actually not got the courage to go for a job interview and hold down a job. Yeah, because they just don't feel strong enough, because that does take strength to go for an interview and go to your job at 9 o'clock in the morning and finish at 5 days a week. Would you agree? It does, right?
Yeah.
So if that's one analogy, and you think, I'm not strong enough to do that, and you go, I'm just going to stay at home. Well, staying at home for a couple of days might be all right, but after a few weeks of staying at home watching stuff on the TV, and a few months staying at home watching TV, guess what's going to happen? Mental health is going to go downhill. happiness is going to go downhill. You're not going to have any finances to pay for nice things, like even things such as food or holidays or maybe a car. So, and I know that's me going down like a rabbit hole here, but what I'm saying is you've got a choice. You can either be as strong as you possibly can, and I think we've all got levels. But yeah, I'd like to pride myself on saying that I do. I'm not saying that I'm a strong person, but I'm a trier. I try. I'm trying to be strong. I'm trying every day to be strong. This morning, like every morning, my alarm is set at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to get up in the morning, but guess what? I make that decision. I make the right decision. And within 5 or 10 minutes of getting up, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm glad I got myself up. I didn't want to do my workout, but guess what? I was strong enough to say, come on, you're doing the workout. Yeah, I did. This very morning, there was a chocolate cake in my kitchen. What did I want to do? Scoff the whole chocolate cake, right? I've got two choices. Now, by the way, I still eat chocolate cake, but if I make the wrong decisions daily, they're going to take me off where I'm now a slave to those wrong decisions. So I'm very, I think I've got a very, very simple, and yeah, I try to live my life on very, very simple rules. Like tonight, I'm tell you the truth. Tonight, I'll probably have 3 or 4 cocktails. So I drink alcohol. I try my best not to get drunk the way I used to. By the way, I was teetotal for 8 years. But all about balance, moderation. But yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm a strong person. I just try my best. That's all I do. I try my best because I know, touch wood, if I was to drop down dead tomorrow, I would be up there. I go, I tried my best.
Well, one thing that comes into, again, when you're talking about your daily schedule, consistency and discipline.
Yeah.
That's 2 things I get out of that straight away. And what do those 2 things equal? Success.
Yeah.
You're on the path to success if you've got consistency and discipline. That's 2 things that I feel is important for success. What makes you want to get up 5 o'clock in the morning? Why do you get up 5 o'clock in the morning? Have you read a book? Is it just why 5? Why not 4? Why 6? Well, why not 6?
No, I mean, I've been getting up at 5 for a long time now. Years I've been doing it. And I just know that if you want to separate yourself from being average, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with being average. I just don't want to be average. I want to live. I don't just even want to live a good life. I want to live a great life. So if I want to separate average, good, great, exceptional, then I need to do exceptional things. And getting up at 8 isn't exceptional. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's the way I feel actually, because when I think about living an exceptional life, the first thing that comes to my mind is traveling the world. I love travel. Yeah. I fly to Israel tomorrow, and I'm going to Jerusalem. I spent 4 days in the Langham in London yesterday. I've been there all week. So my dream, my sort of vision of living a great life, an exceptional life, is like doing as much as you can, seeing as much as you can. And if you want to live like an average person, I think probably goes on holiday once a year, which is fine. That's cool. I've done that, and then I've lived that side, and I know which side's better. I think last year I went abroad 8 times, which and being able to take my kids and do all that as well.
Yeah.
That's a really, really important thing for me, and I've got to be very careful because, and I hope I have said it, I didn't go abroad until I was 18 years old. I hadn't been on a plane until I was 18. So I'm not coming on, like, I'm just trying to be as honest as I can, but maybe the reason why I am the way I am and the way I think is because I didn't have any of that. So
Hmm.
I want to try my best to do more of those things.
For yourself and for your kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Just going forward now. Obviously, we touched a little bit about boxing, but after I think 20 years old, you said you decided to join the Royal Marines.
Mm.
How was that transition?
Yeah, it was a bit of a random one, to be
It
honest.
sounds it.
It is random because nobody in my family had ever done anything really that way. And, I was on a building site, so I had no connection with the military.
Mm.
But my granny, um, can't believe she actually gave me that advice. She's no longer here, but I feel so grateful she said that. She said, Kevin, why don't you join the Navy and you can travel the world?
Mm.
And think about even just this conversation, what I said 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
About that's my thing. Yeah, she said, you could travel the world. And I was like, wow, that would be amazing. Yeah. So I'm on the building site and I thought, I'm going to join the Navy. So I went to the careers office, the Armed Forces careers office
In Edinburgh?
in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I walks in and I said, I want to join the Navy. And the guy said, so what's your hobbies and interests? And I said, I like keeping fit. I'm a boxer. I box for Scotland. And he was like, you box for Scotland? I said, yeah. He said, you should join the Marines. And I said, I didn't even know this because I'd never heard of the Royal Marines as a kid. And he said, you should join the Royal Marines. And I said, what's that? And he gave me it was like a magazine. And there was a picture of this guy with a green beret with all the camouflage. And it said, Royal Marine Commando, 99.9% need not apply, something like that.
Mm.
And it just caught me. It was a picture. It was just the photograph of this guy with all the camouflage with the green beret. And I was like, I said, that's what I want to do. I just changed my mind like that.
Wow.
And within, I don't know, let's say 2 months, I was on the train from Edinburgh down to the Commando Training Centre.
Where was that?
It's Exeter. There's a little private train station called Commando Limston,
Okay.
or Limston Commando, and yeah, it's got its own train station. It's
Wow.
an incredible place, the Commando Training Centre. Really scary when you arrive, and that was it. I never went back home. I sometimes went home like during summer leave, when you get 3 weeks holiday, but I never ever went back really.
How was things at home when you left? Did you ever
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I joined the Marines at that time, my whole family were there was like by that time my brother was on drugs then. My brother's now dead, my younger brother. And my sister, she fell pregnant when she was 15, and she then got on heroin as well. She's still a full-on heroin addict. So at the time when I left, it was like a little bit, I was escaping
Mm.
because everybody had scattered. My mum was at that time an alcoholic. My dad was on drugs, full-on alcoholic. So yeah, I left. So yeah, I suppose I felt like I was escaping.
Mm.
Yeah,
So when you got into there, I guess you had to do the training.
yeah.
How was the training?
It was a nightmare because 1 minute I'm on a building site,
Yeah.
yeah, and the next minute they're trying to teach you how to be very smart. So even simple things like how to iron a pair of trousers, how to iron a shirt, how to march. Now you might think, yeah, marching's easy because you're just walking. No, there's a lot to marching. You know, how to strip a weapon, how to fire a rifle. You know, the first time for me when I fired a rifle, I absolutely shit myself because you just don't know what to expect. You know, so yeah, I was useless. I was absolutely useless for about the first 15 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, I was one of the. So there was about 120 people that go through a troop in training, and there was only 13 of us who finished off at the end of it.
So apart from that sort of aspect of it, learning how to march,
Yeah.
how to rifle,
Yeah.
how to some of the other things you said, what was the fitness aspect of it?
Yeah, see, I'm only telling you the basic admin side, yeah? Yeah, it wasn't even, yeah, you've got to be super fit. Yeah, but I joined fit.
You joined fit?
Yeah, I joined fit, but I still got absolutely hammered because it doesn't matter how fit you are. You know what it's like yourself. It doesn't matter how fit you are. If you get beasted really well, like hammered for half an hour, it doesn't matter how fit you are. You all come down to a level. Now, they can beast you for days, and they do, because you're out in the field probably getting 3 or 4 hours sleep a night. You're cold, you're wet, because they get you wet on exercise, so you've got wet kit on. So you're cold, you're wet, you're hungry, tired, and it doesn't matter how fit you are. So a lot of people think the Marines is a fitness thing. It's not, it's mindset. Because you're trying your best to be a good recruit, be tactical. When really, I'm telling you the truth, you just want to go home. You know, but it's the most it's the most challenging thing that I've ever done. Physically.
Those 15 weeks.
No, it was 30 weeks of training you do.
30 weeks.
30 weeks. Definitely. Yeah, it was. It's very, very hard to describe. I mean, I've watched TV programs on it, and it doesn't do it justice, because you can watch something. It's like Saving Private Ryan. You can watch that on the TV and think, wow, that's hard. But what you're not really seeing is they're scared, they're cold, they're starving, you know, they're missing their families, they are being attacked, they are attacking, they are thinking, but they won't sleep, you know. You don't take any of that in, so it's very, very hard to describe. Nobody could do it. You can't describe what it's like.
What's that TV program? Is it Andy Gettenby? He did it. Is it
Yes.
Hell Week or something?
Yeah, so that's... And by
Matt
the
Middleton. Is it Matt Middleton?
And Middleton,
and
yeah.
Middleton. Is that similar? But I guess you did it over 30 weeks.
Yeah,
they did it over a week.
Yeah, and do you know what, Luke? That's for telly. That's for TV, and I've got a lot of respect. I watched that as well, and I thought... And there was pieces of it that you go, yeah, that reminded me of... You know, I was smiling, watching it, going, yeah, that reminds me a little bit. But that's a week. There's TV cameras there. Can you imagine what goes on when there's no TV cameras? I'm saying in the real world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same way, just say boxing. If they were doing a documentary about a boxing club and there was TV cameras all about, the coach would be very measured in what he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when the sparring got a bit rough, because he knew the camera's right there, he's going to tell them to keep the power down or something like this, yeah?
Yeah.
Whereas when the cameras are not there,
Go full
different
on.
things happen. So it's very much like that. So, those TV programs, that's all they are, really. But good effort to the people who go through it.
Yeah, it's tough. When did you start feeling? So you said 15 weeks. You were like, you were useless. What was the turning switch?
Yes. So the turning, I just started to pick things up better. Yeah, just like anything, it's like when you start boxing, the first time you go in and spar and you get punched in the nose and your little eyes start watering like that,
Yeah, we all know that feeling.
Yeah, it's like, and then after a few times of getting hit in the nose, you don't even flinch. It's like that, yeah. But for me, on week 15, I remember this was a turning point for me. From a whole mindset point of view, we were being attacked by like an enemy. Okay.
Well, is this real?
No, no, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
So it's a set up enemy. They're attacking us, and you know it's pitch dark, and they're throwing thunder flashes in, which are basically like grenades. Yeah, and banging here and banging there, and you know you're 15 weeks in, so you're still a little bit thinking like a civilian. You know, you're like you don't know what's going on, right?
Yeah.
You're trying your best, and I just felt overwhelmed by it. I was like, and it was like I knew we were getting beat here. So I just shouted, lads, on me, which basically means follow me, yeah? And I just bolted. I put my Bergen on, rucksack, yeah? And bolted. I ran, and all the lads followed me. There was about 30 lads that followed me. And we ran for about a mile, hid behind this bush. And I was like, right. I just basically took charge. I was like, stay here. When we see them coming after us, we'll ambush them from behind this hedge, yeah? So we ambushed, blah, blah, blah. And this sergeant, who was like our basically boss, yeah? He goes, and he swore, but I'm not going to swear. He goes, who the hell told you to leave that position? I want to know right now who the hell told you. And I put my hand up, yeah, I just admitted it. And he went, come out here now, Green. And he put his finger over my head and he went, that is what you call leadership. He went, making a decision, whether you're right or wrong, he made a decision. That's what you call a leader. He went, he's now section commander, which basically meant I was now in charge. So because I was now put in charge, I was like, right lads. Do you know what I mean? So that totally changed my whole mindset in it, and it did. I'd say for the rest of my life, because from there on I was like, I can be a leader. I am a leader. You know, because most people, they're too scared to make decisions. Just make a decision. I think that's people's biggest problem in life is actually making a decision.
And sticking by it, believing in the decision that you
Yeah,
made.
yeah. And by the way, a lot of your decisions you're going to get wrong. Most, I'm not going to say most, but I can say for myself, a lot of the decisions that I make, I get wrong. But at least I make a decision. So guess what? I'm more likely to succeed.
And that's a sign of leadership right there.
Exactly. And I wish, because I in my business now, I've got a lot of people who I really want to help and influence, and if only they knew that they're already good enough, they just need to decide to do whatever it is, you know, to do the right things. Some people are like, I'll give you an example, right? And this is an analogy. How many people do we know think, I want to get fitter?
Oh,
Out of 100.
90.
Right. So all they need to do is decide that they are going to go to the gym 3 times a week. It's just the deciding part's the hard part. Even if they went to the gym and they went on the treadmill for 5 minutes, it's better than doing nothing. So they're actually making the right decision. It didn't even matter what they do when they walk in there. They might even do 2 reps. But just by making a decision, it totally changes the angle of where they're going to end up. And that's just, for me, it's like just make a decision.
Some people rely on other people to make decisions for them.
Oh, I know they do.
And then when it doesn't go well, they blame other people.
Exactly.
And that's why I think making a decision for yourself, whether it's right or wrong, as you said, is so important. And you can't look at anyone else and blame anyone else. You're responsible for your decisions then.
Well, I think for me, because I am now an independent person, I'm an independent business owner, trust me, you're in a happier place because you can take full responsibility whether it goes right and wrong. So even when it goes wrong, guess what? I'm like, I actually don't even criticise myself that much anymore.
All you can do, put your hands up. If it, I apologise, and let's move forward.
I just go, Kev, you know exactly, you're far from perfect, but at least you're trying, son. I will actually have those conversations. You know, no one else is making these decisions, only you are. You got that one wrong. Maybe don't do that again, Kev.
Are you quite self-critical of yourself
In
in your mind? You know, always talking positive.
Yeah, of course, I'll say certain things. I'm trying to change that. So, as an example, my wife pulled me up about it today. I goes, I'm crap at technology. And she said, don't say that. Because she's right. Because if you say it, it ends up becoming, yeah, she's right. So, if you could call that criticising myself, then maybe I do. But I'll tell you the truth. There are certain things that I have no real want or desire to be good at. Like, I have no want or desire to be good at technology. It's not my thing.
Because I guess it takes away the people sort of side of things that you've built.
Yeah, I prefer that. Whereas for somebody who's got a real skill set on technology, I'd be like, you do that. Because we're all on the planet for something. You know, we've all been put on here to do something. So
we all got something unique.
And I'm not a fan of trying to multitask either. Some people are trying to learn 10, 15, 20 skills, and they're mediocre at every one of them. Do you see what I mean, yeah? You go, nah, focus on one of them.
Yeah.
It's the same with boxing. I try and relate it to boxing. It's like, you can try and get the best screw shot, the best right hook, the best right hand to the body, and all this other stuff. And if you're medium at them all, you're going to get battered by the guy who's got an incredible jab. The guy who's got the best jab, it's so fast, it's so powerful, you don't know when it's coming, you don't know how to defend it, will beat the guy who's got the medium hook, screw shot, right hand body shot. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Do you see?
Yeah.
And so it's the same in life. It's like you can spread yourself too thin.
Do you know one thing you've said, sorry to interrupt, is boxing. How much does boxing relate to life?
I relate. I think it relates to a lot, yeah.
I've used it in so many, I put it in so many situations where I've been in difficult situations and I put myself in boxing and how I coped with it in adversity and put it into life, and it just helps you relate so much more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, life is a fight.
Exactly.
And do you know what? Because you won't see it in me. I feel emotional even having this conversation because I know you're in the fight as well. Because I don't know what happened to you today, this morning, yesterday, or last week, but I know you're in. Like everybody, we're all fighting our own little battles. You 100%. See, so it is like boxing, and this is the thing. There's times in boxing when you want to take a knee, and it's all right to take a knee, isn't it? You know, like you get a good body shot, you go, I've
never taken a knee, but I know.
I've taken a knee with a body shot in sparring. Yeah, I was like, down I go. I'll try and get my breath back, right? And I think life is like that. It's okay to take a knee, but don't quit. Get back up. Yeah, take an 8 count, come back, get back to basics. And that's, for me, that's like life. You're going to have times that's going to put you on your ass.
Yep.
But guess what? Get back up, dust yourself off, get back to the basics again. And here's another good one as well. Go back to your corner, sit on the stool, have a drink of water and listen to your coach. So in life, for me, that's a great analogy to say, go back and speak to somebody who you trust and look for that wee bit of advice. You know when you're struggling?
100%. Or if you've had a bad training session.
Yeah.
Bad training session, bad spar.
Yeah.
anything related to it's so relatable to life, as you
Yeah.
said. I just want to go back to the Marines again, because you passed your training, and you said only 13 people survived that course. Did you ever feel like quitting? And if you did feel like quitting, was it your situation back at home that didn't allow you to quit?
Good point. I reckon I wanted to quit. I remember after a week or two, I think I was on the phone to my mum, and I'm sure I was like close to crying, maybe this. And I think my mum, being a mum, it's okay, son, if you want to come home, blah, blah, blah. And I think my dad was like, just stay there, whatever. So, you've got to, and I think we've all got parents, the mum's a bit more like this and the dad's a wee bit more like that. And again, there's so many benefits to that for life. So yeah, I remember I wanted to quit after a week or two, but I do remember, and I think there will be Marines who listen to this. There was multiple times when I was on yomps. Now a yomp is when you're carrying maybe £100 a kit. Weapon. I mean, the pain on your shoulders is unbelievable. There's no escaping it, right? Yeah. And this is on your back for the full week when you're on exercise, yeah? And the amount of times the pain was that bad, I'd be thinking, I'll just pretend to go over on my ankle. Because that's the easy way. I just go, ah! Because, by the way, you'll see a lot of lads, they will go over. And I'm not saying they meant to go over, but I know, hand on heart, I thought about doing that numerous times, but I never did. And obviously I went through. But again, that's another analogy for life. How many times do you want to just kid on? Like here's one. I've not got the time. Yeah, people say this in all areas. Let's just say, go back to the fitness one. I've not got time to go to the gym. But then they've got the time to watch stuff on their phone. Yeah? Or I've not got the money to buy better nutrition. But then 2 days later, they're sinking,
A bear.
Do you see what I mean? And again, all these very, very simple stories, analogies, whatever you want to call them, the lessons are there. It's how you use the lessons, I believe. And by the way, again, as I said, I just want to go back by saying nobody's perfect, but the lessons are already laid out for us to use to our own advantages.
Years of civilizations have gone on. You can see what worked well and what didn't work well.
Exactly.
And that's how reading. Like, I take it you're big in reading and stuff now, aren't you?
I do, mate. Do you know what?
Or was it Audible?
I do Audible as well, but I'm not the best reader, and I think reading books is a good thing. But I sometimes think, again, people try and spread themselves too thin. So you'll get a guy who'll read a book on, let's just say, discipline, right? And then the next book's on ambition, and the next book's about diet, right? And you go, see that book on discipline? What did you actually apply in that book? And they read the book, and they were like, that's great, but they didn't apply any of the principles in the book, yeah? And he goes, oh yeah. And then he reads a nutrition book, and you go, you should maybe go back to that, yeah? And he's reading the discipline book, and he's eating a bag of chips. I believe, and everybody's got their own beliefs in it, get good at simple things. Then you can start building on them. Do you know what I mean?
Life is simple, as they say.
Yeah.
But people make it complicated.
And I know, because I'm not an academic guy, I'm very simple. I believe that's why I'm very, very happy. I'm very, very grateful, because I try and cut out all the noise and keep my life like very, very simple. Just simple stuff.
Simple stuff.
Yeah.
When you passed your commando training in the Royal Marines, when did you find boxing in there?
Yeah, that's a great story actually. So I joined the Marines.
Yeah.
I'm about week 7 in training.
Oh, okay. Still in training.
Yeah, I'm in training.
Okay.
And this guy says, I hear you're a boxer. I said, yeah. He goes, how many fights have you had? I said, 75. He said, how many have you won? I said, 65. He said, that's not very good. By the way, at the time, I was rated number 7 or 8 in Britain at the time, yeah? And I knew when I joined, there was nobody in the armed forces. You know the boxing news? There was nobody in the armed forces above me. So I knew as soon as I joined, I was number 1. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So he goes, that's not very good. I said, how many fights have you had? He was a corporal, yeah? So you should really be scared of these guys, yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I had respect for him, but I wasn't scared, right? So I goes, how many fights you had? And he went, 10. I goes, how many have you won? He went, 10. I goes, is that against other Marines? He went, yeah. I went, yeah, but that's like novices. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've faced a few Marines.
Yeah, but I'm like, Marines might be tough, but they're no good boxers. And he said, well, if I get you a match against a PTI, you'll fight him. I said, no. I said, I'll beat him. Because I was still
Yeah.
boxing
You've seen the
men,
ranks and
you
stuff.
know what
Yeah,
I mean, right? So that was it. 4 weeks later, it was the Royal Marine Annual Boxing Show, which is an incredible boxing show, by the way. You know, it's in the barracks, it's on the base, and you've got hundreds of Royal Marines, the audience. You can imagine the atmosphere. So I've went there for the weigh-in. And you know how you get the card, you know, the line-up of the bouts? It said Green versus Cusack. And I was like, is that Jim Cusack, right? Looks over, and Jim Cusack, the guy who was fighting, was there. That guy, because people who are watching this, they won't know, was a guy who had boxed 6 times as a junior. We had fought each other 6 times throughout our childhood.
Wow.
And it was 3 matches each. Yeah? And I was like, how you doing, mate? I goes, so when did you join the Marines? And he had joined maybe 7 weeks before me. And he was like, yeah, I joined. And I'm like, bloody hell. I said, we're fighting each other tonight. He went, I know. I said, right, this will be the last time we ever fight, yeah?
Look, were you to the same weight? Because he eventually ended up at 75, didn't he?
No.
Did?
I'll tell you the story, but he was a weight above me.
Oh, weight above, okay.
He was a light welter, I was lightweight when we ended up. So we shook hands, we said, right, this is the last time we ever fight, you know, because this will make, it's 3-0. The last one will be the decider, and I beat him.
Did you get a victory?
So I beat him. It was a great fight. I beat him, and we ended up being on the Royal Marines, Royal Navy boxing team together in the same room, you know, roommates, travelling the world together for about 4 or 5 years. And both of us then became physical trainers together for another few years. So, you know, he's my best pal. He was the guy who introduced me to the company as well.
Which we'll come on to.
Yeah.
How was boxing in the Royal Navy?
It was good.
And who was a coach there as well?
Yeah, it was. I mean, you got treated. You were treated like a. It was better than a professional. You were treated like a. It was like you were an Olympic athlete. You were getting, you know, fed 3 times a day, even though I couldn't eat much because I was boxing at 9.5, 60
Same as
kilo,
me, yeah.
under 60. I was killing myself, and you know, you were a tracksuit soldier, so you were getting paid as a soldier, but living a life as an athlete.
Yep.
Training 3 times a day. It was a really special time in my life. For me, I don't think I progressed from a skill point of view at all. I actually think I went backwards. It was like when I joined the military, the emphasis became on fitness. So it was all about being fit
Yeah.
to get in the ring. Whereas as a civilian, they were more focused on your skills, your ring craft, your specific type of fitness. That's what I found. I mean, it was great, but even though like I won the combined services, so I was a combined services champion.
Yeah. Which is Army, RAF, and the Navy, isn't it?
Yeah. I was a champion there. I got to the semi-finals of the ABAs. I got robbed in the semis. Even though I had a decent bit of success, I just don't think I got any better over the 3 or 4 years that I was with.
Do you think? Now, this is just from hypothetically talking. I've faced a lot of junior champions. When you step up to the seniors, it's different.
It is
The
different.
strength's different, the skill's different, the ability's different.
Yeah.
That's what I found is that when they did step up to senior, I never had any junior belts or
Right.
senior. So did you feel like physically people were stronger?
Nah.
Mentally, is it just from a skill wise?
I was strong.
Yeah.
I was a big lightweight as well. So I never ever struggled with strength or struggled with. I mean, I remember being how old was I? I was probably about 18. So I just turned senior, and I boxed a guy called Malky Gowans, who was a Scottish champion. He went to the games. I think he was an Olympian, and I beat him. I was 18. He was about 30. He was a man.
Wow.
So and never I know what type of junior you're talking about.
Yeah.
That wasn't the same for me. I never struggled with that. I just never. I don't know what it was.
Do you reckon it was a coaching style?
I'm not too sure of that either, because maybe it was just because I was just maybe not that teachable at the time. Because when I think of my own mindset at the time, I was very, very overconfident. So I thought, I'm brilliant. I believed that. So I was never really like trying to pick up new skills or new pieces of ring craft, to be honest with you. Yeah.
So it was more down to yourself and your mindset of it.
Yeah, as I said, I just don't think, and I did not have the mindset of somebody who wanted to be a world champion, and that's why I wasn't. So even when I was on the boxing squad for 4 years, I just looked at it like a draft.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking, I'm going to win the British title here. I'm going to turn pro, because I got asked to turn pro whilst I was in the military. Frank Maloney, he came down to Nelson and wanted me and Jim to turn pro. And both of us were like, nah, because both of us, we were very much the same. We enjoyed boxing, but we didn't look at boxing like it was going to be a career.
I guess the 4 years that you were in there, it sort of kept you away from the marine side of things.
Oh, I did, aye.
And it allowed you to do boxing,
Yeah.
travel the world, and do something probably you don't want to do as a career, but something you can definitely were good at.
Yeah.
And you can still get the respect of being a boxer as well, I take it.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a good draft. I mean, I did do a lot of marine stuff. So when I passed out from the Marines, I didn't go straight to boxing. I actually done a good couple of years of soldiering.
Okay. Hey, and you obviously finished in the Royal Marines now. How long did you spend in the Navy altogether?
About 15, 16 years.
And why did you decide to leave there?
Yeah, I mean, again, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I remember when I was about 33, I was a dad, and I had to go away for 6 months. I had to go down to the Falkland Islands, down towards like South Georgia, the South Pole area. And when you've got young children, as a dad, that hurt. And I just remember feeling like I wasn't in control of my own life. I could just get sent anywhere.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the job, and I tried my best in the job. But I remember starting to think, I don't know if I want to do this for 22 years. I was about 13, 14 years in. And luckily for me, just by chance, my best friend Jim, he told me about Herbalife. Now, at the time, you know, with being a boxer, not really a big fan of supplements, powders, protein shakes, because you never really want to put on muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was never a fan of any type of supplement. And he's saying, Kev, you should try this Herbalife. And I'm thinking, this is like Slim Fast. Thinking, that's not for me. I was like, nah, Jim, honestly, not my thing at all. And he's like, mate, I'm telling you now, this is the best thing I've ever tried, blah, blah, blah. And I still wasn't interested. But about 2 or 3 months later, he showed me his result. I'm talking about his physical result. And that was enough to sort of get my interest, where I thought, I'm going to give these a try. I'll give them a try. And I didn't just try them, I really stuck to them. So I really stuck to this program, and within 2 weeks, I felt good. Enough for me to say, I'm going to really like try and get a great result with this. And after about 7 weeks, this is 10 years ago now, after about 7 weeks, I was in the best shape I'd ever been, even as a boxer. You know, I had more definition, because when you're making weight, you just end up
Skinny, ain't you? You're a skinny little thing.
With this stuff, I was like gaining muscle, dropping body fat, which was like changing my shape. And because I was now changing, and even my skin looked different and everything else, people were like, Kev, what's that stuff you're using? And I was like, oh, it's just Herbalife. And they're saying, can you get me some? And I'm like, yeah, I'll try. So I'm now phoning Jim going, I've got people who want this. And he's going, yeah, you should be a distributor. And I'm going, nah, I don't want to do that. He goes, Kev, trust me, just give them the products, tell them what you're doing. My mum got in the products. My mum lost 2 stone. My mum loved it. She started to tell other people as well. And because of that, now we started to get paid a very, very small part-time income. I'm talking £200 a month. But £200 a month back then was enough to really get my attention to think, maybe imagine if I could make £500 a month. So just done a wee bit more, went to £500. I then went to an event. And I saw average people making bigger money than what I was making in a job. And basically within 11 months, me and my wife, we were making £8,000 a month part-time.
Wow.
And because we were making that part-time, I stuck my notice in. I said, I want to leave. I want to pursue being an entrepreneur.
And how many people were you helping when you were doing?
Directly, we were probably helping about, say, 20 people directly. But as I said to you, like my mum, if I'm helping my mum directly, and then my mum, she then wants to help, say, 5 sisters, I'm indirectly helping 6 people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
1 plus 5 equals 6.
Yeah.
So directly, let's say about 20 people. Indirectly, that was about 800.
Wow.
Just because it's person to person.
Yeah. And over 10 years now?
Yeah.
That's when you started, within 11 months. 10 years later, how many people are you helping in your business now?
Well, monthly, we know that we're helping tens of thousands now.
Wow.
Monthly. Every single month, product. I reckon over the course of 10 years, I mean, that's going to be a lot of people. But I know right now we're helping tens of thousands of people every day, with not just like a lot of people, they might think it's like an iPhone. They think we're maybe just selling an iPhone. What we do is we don't just actually want to sell a product. We actually give them a whole community around it. And within the community is education. Because we understand, most people don't understand why you would want a protein-rich meal versus a carbohydrate meal. Or why you would want And a lot of people do this. Why? Simple things like this, they just need educated and steered a little bit. Why you would want a glass of water versus a cup of coffee. You know, one does the reverse. One dehydrates you, one rehydrates you. And people wonder why they're not functioning or why they're not happy. And a lot of their happiness comes from the gut. You know, this is where a lot of people's issue is. So for me, I'm really passionate about, yeah, our products are the best. We are the number one nutritional brand in the company. There's nobody that competes with us. You know, Cristiano Ronaldo, he's our brand ambassador. I love our product range, but it's not just about our product range. It's more about the community, the support, the education, the rewards that I can give a customer. Let's just say, like my mum now as a member, she can get all her, say, nutritional needs, food, half price. So as a Herbalife member, she gets everything half price. And that's, for me, that's like saying, well, would you like to go to Tesco and get everything half price? Well, that's what we do as a company. So I absolutely love it. I mean, it doesn't even feel like a job or a business. It's just become a part of me, really looking to help so many people with it, because I know there's a massive need for it right now.
One thing that I see the encouragement of is from the Herbalife community is trying to help people.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing that I get, where, you know, we can help you be fitter, we can help you be stronger, mentally fit. And I think the community is interesting because it's not just about making money, it's about helping each other.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not going to come on here and lie and say, oh, I don't do it for money. Of
course you do.
Money is going to be a motivator for anybody. And to begin with, money was the motivator. That is the God's honest truth, because at the time I didn't have much money. Whereas now, you know, because I'm able to live where I live, drive the car I drive and whatever else, it's far more than the money, because I just see the massive need for it. You know, I walk down the street and I see the problems everywhere. And right now for me, the big problem is people's mental health. I know we can help them with that, because if you can get people who are suffering with mental health into a better community, i.e. a better network, that's going to help them. If you can help somebody who's unhappy with better nutrition, that they're more likely to get into physical exercise. Whereas somebody's going to struggle to get into physical exercise if they've not got the energy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they need better nutrition to get the energy first to then want to go and do the exercise. So some people think they join the gym and then it happens. It doesn't. It should be going, sort your nutritional needs, and then it's like fuel your car first before you go on the journey.
Yeah.
And that's because obviously in my background, I understand it so at a basic level where I'm like, that's all you really need to know. So I just think we offer so much, and it's misunderstood. So my job is it's not sales, it's an education.
Yeah.
It's educating people. Yeah, we help people save money, like I've told you, like my mum is an example. So we're helping people save money. When you look at the economy right now, everybody's looking to save money, so we help people save money. And then from a more simple point of view, when people start recommending it, they actually make money, because the company pay them passive income through recommendations. It's as simple as that.
What do you say to people that say it's like a pyramid scheme?
I love that. So the first thing is, pyramid schemes, they are illegal. Because pyramid schemes, you put money in. With Herbalife, you don't put money in. It's a product. I earn double more money than the people who are higher than me in the pyramid. So if you think about me and my wife, Jim introduced us. A guy called Scott Walker and his wife Nicola introduced Jim. Yeah, so they've been in the company longer. Jim's been in the company longer than me. and we've been in the shortest time, yeah, in the pyramid, yeah. This couple here, Lisa and Alistair, they've been in the pyramid for, let's say, about 15, 20 years. We make more than quadruple what these guys earn, but they're higher in the pyramid. So it's not a pyramid. You actually, when I draw it and when I see it from myself, I can actually draw it from like an upside down pyramid. And another way to look at this as well, like when I was in the military, the top rank that I got to is equivalent to a sergeant, which is 2 rungs up, 2. So then above that, you've got like a colour sergeant, then a sergeant major. But then you've got things like an admiral and, you know, a brigadier and all
So
these.
where does an officer come in? Is it sergeant? And
Well, an officer, you need qualifications.
yeah, because I was very close going as an officer.
Were you?
Stu O'Connor was the coach, and he said, "Terry, come join us. We'll get you in the boxing squad."
Right?
I went to the assessment, passed the assessment.
Yeah.
Said, "You got to go away for 6 months, like do this." And I young family, I was like, same as you. I was like, it's probably not right for me at the moment. So unfortunately, I couldn't go forward with it. But yeah, the opportunity did sound great to go in as that.
Yeah, so if you look at the armed forces, and by the way, this is the same for Tesco or Virgin, any other company, they're all pyramids, yeah?
Yeah.
So from the armed forces point of view, there's only a couple of brigadiers or admirals, yeah? But there's lots of Marines and soldiers at the bottom, yeah? Somebody like me could have never, ever in their wildest dreams got to the top and became an admiral because I didn't have the academics, I didn't have the connections, I didn't have I never had the brains to do it, yeah? So I could never ever move up that. Whereas with our company, it's self-invitation. It doesn't matter your qualifications, your background, sex, age, whatever. It's self-invitation. And the invitation is the more people you help, the more the company will reward you. They will reward you financially through helping other people.
Yeah. Kev, that's been absolutely amazing. Truly inspirational. I thank you for coming down and I appreciate your time. We have to do this again sometime. Maybe we'll talk about boxing.
Yeah, mate.
We'll get a boxing one on and see
yeah,
how
we
you get
didn't
on.
really. I mean, we spoke a little bit about boxing. I had
got
128 fights.
120. Yeah, obviously you had a few fights in the Navy and stuff as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I reckon I had maybe 40 or 50 fights whilst I was in the Navy and the Marines, yeah.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you're going to give a shout out to the boxing squad? Anyone in there who helped you progress?
Do you know what, mate? I feel so grateful to, and do you know what? I could not mention any names because I've had at least 6 or 7 brilliant coaches. I've had at least 40 to 50 great teammates. I've had at least 40 or 50 wars with top boxers who are European world champions now. That I wouldn't want to mention one because you mention one, then you've left the other guy out. I feel very, very grateful to the whole of the boxing community. The whole of the boxing community for me, there is the few that let it down, but as a whole, 99% of the boxing community, it's like they're true gentlemen. They're true warriors. Obviously, when you look at some of the stuff the pros do, you know, when they've got to face up to each other and they've got to sort of slag each other off to sell the
tickets. Yeah.
We understand that, yeah. Away from what you see on the camera, for me, boxing is a gentleman's sport. And I just, you know, whoever listens to this, who's maybe come across me in my boxing, I feel really, really grateful to have come across you. And I just hope that we can all feel very, very grateful to have taken part in such an incredible sport. It is definitely the noble art.
Kev, you got to leave it on that note, mate. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in, brother.
Cheers, pal.
Cheers, pal.
Thanks, Terry, mate.
Cheers.